Thanks so much for being here with me today. I do appreciate it, and I you guys are just great. I just love my listeners because, I'll say follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. The Facebook lights up, Instagram lights up, because we do send out a lot of good information on those about lectures. Sometimes we have specials running on our supplements, and it's a good way for me to stay in touch with you. And if you want more information, you can always go to my website. We have tons of articles, archive radio shows, videos, and that's drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. And it brings you to Health Plus Wellness Center, by the way. That's my office name. Somebody mentioned that, but you'll see my picture and everything. It's pretty obvious. And we're talking today about your immune system, how your immune system works, and what you need to do to keep it stable. Because sometimes we need to stimulate the immune system and sometimes we need to suppress the immune system, but we want to keep it normal. And we talked a little earlier about this, about chiropractic care and how that affects the immune system. Now, the studies demonstrate an accumulation of evidence that indicates spinal manipulation or chiropractic care may influence the immune system's response to various stimuli. 3 studies suggest that manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators associated with tissue damage and pain. 2 studies provided evidence manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators associated with tissue damage and pain again. And then 2 more studies showed it helped with cytokines. So when people think about chiropractic care, they always think that it's about neck pain and back pain and shoulder pain. But chiropractic is not based on pain. If you go back to the founder, Dr. D.D. Palmer, September 18th, 1895, in Davenport, Iowa, the first adjustment was given. And he realized that if the nervous system, that the nerves are like guitar strings, he used the analogy, and if it's too tight or too loose, it can't carry the electrical impulse, what we call a nerve impulse. And so he found that through chiropractic adjustments, it took the tension, the tone, put it back into the nerves properly, and the body was able to heal. Somewhere along the line, we got the reputation for being really good at pain, and we are really good at pain. But there's a lot more to it than that, and that's why it's so cool. And there's the physical, that's what we just talked about. The chemical aspects is the food you eat. For example, sugar. Sugar is the number one food that'll weaken your immune system. So you got to cut out the sugars, especially in the winter. And when do we do most of our sugar eating? In the winter, because that's when the immune system is more challenged. And there's a lot of different possibilities as to why we get sick in the winter and not so much in the summer. It could be that we're indoors more. It could be that we're not getting as much outdoor activity, exercise. It could be we're not getting as much sunlight. And so one of the things that I want to make sure you're doing is if you get your blood work done, I want you to get your vitamin D levels tested. And a lot of you, in fact, studies show about 50-60% of you are low. I think it's probably even higher than that. But if your vitamin D levels are low, vitamin D is extremely important for the immune system. I personally take 5,000 international units of vitamin D a day. Now, there's 2 types. There's vitamin D2 and there's vitamin D3. Many times your doctor may prescribe vitamin D2. Well, that's the synthetic version. I'm not big on synthetic anything. If I can avoid it, I would rather you do the vitamin D3. And you can get that in drugstores, health food stores. Make sure it's vitamin D3. There's 3 types. One comes from fish oil. Not my favorite because you do run the risk of contamination with that one. If it's going to be from fish, you want to make sure it's certified mercury-free. There's lanolin, which comes from sheep wool, which is about the same price as the fish and probably a purer form. That's the one I would recommend of the 2 you would take. And then it comes from algae oil as well, but algae oil can be very expensive. And so I'd recommend if you're going to be, being price conscious, I would do the sheep wool, the lanolin version of it, and do about 5,000 international units a day. That's about what you need to keep the body healthy. And unfortunately, when people get their vitamin D tested, many, many times they're low. So you got to cut out the sugar, take the vitamin D. You got to eat more raw foods. And you hear me talk about raw foods a lot. Raw foods have something called enzymes. And enzymes, they're like Pac-Man. They attack things. And the enzymes can actually attack the pathogens or the antigens, the viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus. And so the more raw food you eat, the better the immune system is going to work because you're getting this assist, so to speak, with enzymes. Now, somebody called earlier about when to take supplements. And most supplements, it's not that important when you take them. But if you take enzyme supplements, they do 2 things. One is if you take them with food, they help digest the food. So as we get older, a lot of people will take digestive enzyme supplements. We have them at our offices. And they'll take it with a meal to help them digest the food. If you take a digestive enzymes between meals, they then start fighting off inflammation, and they can become part of us like your pseudo-immune system. So it depends when you take an enzyme, what it does. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, loaded with enzymes. And I take those every single day, and chances are you should too. And I was a guest on another show, and there were some people in the studio here, and they had 3 little kids with them, and they were all excited to meet the hosts and everything. And they said, I mentioned that on the air, and when we went to break, the mom said, can you give these to children? And my answer was a resounding yes. If they can start eating solid foods and they can eat fruits and vegetables, you can give them the Super Greens and the Essential Source. And what I do is you take a frozen banana, whip it up with some coconut milk or almond milk, and, I'm 190 pounds. I take a scoop of each, and for an average adult, 100 pounds is fine, but a little kid, maybe half a scoop. And mix it in with some frozen banana, some frozen berries, make a smoothie for it, and it's amazing how well children respond when you give them the nutrients that they need. So that's going to be huge when it comes to getting the immune system working. And those supplements, along with Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster, that helps modulate the immune system, and Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic. And again, I can't make medical claims on this, but the herbs that we use in these things have been shown in studies to help the immune system. Those are on my website as well, drjoeesposito.com. Got to drink a lot of water. We dry out. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and the person cutting my hair, she said, oh, so many people are coming in, and their skin is just so dried out, and your skin isn't dry. She goes, what kind of moisturizer do you use? I said, I don't use any. She goes, what do you do? I said, drink a lot of water. Because you hydrate the body, and it's going to work a lot more efficiently. So something else you want to do to keep the immune system strong and just keep you healthy and young and supple is drink lots of water. And how much water? When you pee, it should be clear. You should be able to read a newspaper through your urine. Now, don't try that, okay? Because whoever you live with will think you're crazy and yell at me. But urine should be clear, and it shouldn't have an odor to it. And that means you're drinking enough water. And if you have trouble waking up because you have to pee at night, stop drinking your water around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That would help a lot. Folks, got a lot more to talk about. I'm going to talk about the number one food that you can start adding to your diet that's going to help modulate your immune system for childhood infections, for stress-induced immune suppression. I got study after study sitting in front of me here. Common colds. I'm going to talk about that. If you have a question, give me a call. The number here is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. And we archive tons of radio shows there, too. And that number, 844-44-Dr. rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. I am so glad that you're here. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito. And today we're talking about your immune system. And this is important not just for colds and flu, because that's what people always think about. Well, it's cold and flu and your immune system. You have to think about disease processes. Why do some people get sick and some people don't? And one of the major reasons is how their immune system works or doesn't work. And it's so important that you understand the things you're doing every single day that can make the immune system weak and the things you can be doing to start making the immune system strong or modulate. I always use the word modulate, which is normalize, because some people have a hyperactive immune system. Well, how do you modulate that? Well, there's a certain food, you may have never eaten it before, that'll help modulate it. And in fact, we're going to talk about colds, we're going to talk about stress, we're going to talk about children's infections, how to lower their amount of colds children have every year. Really neat stuff, and it only takes about a teaspoon a day of this stuff, which is kind of cool. But in the business, we call that a tease. I'm teasing you to keep you hanging on. So let's talk about different ways you have immunity. One is called active immunization. That happens when your body is presented with something that it considers non-self. It's not you. It's an outsider. This can be a foreign invader, a newly formed cancer cell. Your body mobilizes its immune system. It's called cell-mediated or humoral, and that's in response to the invader. So there's something there, the body attacks it. Exposure to measles, mumps, chickenpox is a good example. Once the body sees it and attacks it, you can have immunity perhaps for life. So that's called active immunization. Specific immunization involves the injection of a reduced strength antigen, or bad guy, antigen means bad guy, into the blood to enable the body to produce its own antibodies. That's what the principle of a vaccine is all about. Nonspecific immunization. This is different in that it involves an injection of certain antigens that raise the level of immune function throughout the body, but against an entirely different invader than is presented by the antigen. So we're sending something into the body to just activate the immune system, send out the warriors to start attacking. The common acne bacterium, for example, is one of them. Adaptive immunity requires the injection, direct injection of typically something called interleukin-2 that stimulates the immune system. So you can actually inject something to get the immune system kicked in. Now, some immune boosters, such as Suma and Astragalus, Echinacea, Pau d'Arco, olive leaf extract, work by stimulating this adaptive immunity, and it stimulates what's called the cytokine production. Cytokines are your immune cells, a part of the immune cells. If you ever went to my website, I have something on a website called Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. Now, I can't make medical claims on this, but a lot of the ingredients, Pau d'Arco, olive leaf extract, Suma root, there are studies that show that they can activate your immune system. I personally take Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster every single day. It's a little dropper bottle, tastes fine, and I take it every single day, and it helps keep my immune system active and strong so that when I am exposed, I mean, I'm being exposed just like you are to viruses, germs, bacteria, flu. Why is my immune system working? Because I try to keep it stimulated and activated on a regular basis. If I do get sick, which rarely happens, but sometimes it does, I take something called Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic. And this is garlic, ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, and onion. And we puree that in an apple cider vinegar, and then we strain it down and make a concentrate out of it. That stuff tastes awful. It tastes the way it sounds. Ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic, and apple cider vinegar. But that actually attacks the viruses, germs, and bacteria. Studies have shown it can do that. Because the garlic is antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. The hot peppers open up your blood vessels. So I have two things that I rely on, especially in the winter months, to keep my immune system strong. And if I do get sick, I take it. And again, I'm not making any medical claims here. I'm saying that's what I do, and that's what the studies have shown these ingredients can do. We're going to start taking some calls. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. Is it Michael?
Hey, Dr. Joe. I love the show.
Thank you.
I was taking a few different supplements, and I was just wondering when I should be taking them, at what time of day. I'm taking acai extract. I'm taking the super green, the food. I'm taking magnesium, turmeric, and biotin and zinc for my hair and nails. And I'm wondering, am I taking too many supplements? And when is the best time to be taking them? As well as the green superfood, should I be taking that with meals 3 times a day or just, before bed? And also, I do take a probiotic, and when is the best time to get the maximum absorption for that probiotic?
Great question.
And that's my question, and I will turn off my phone.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so when it comes to probiotics, I'm going to talk about those a little later. That's a good topic here. Probiotics are really a strong part of your immune system, and we're going to talk about probiotics and prebiotics. Probiotics you want to take first thing in the morning. As soon as you wake up, before you eat, before you do anything, brush your teeth, take the probiotics because the acid in your stomach can kill off the probiotics. They're bacteria. So when the stomach acid is low, first thing in the morning, you can take the probiotics, wait about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then start eating. You can drink a little water with your probiotics if you need to, but you don't want to stimulate acid production. So the best time to take probiotics is first thing in the morning. The other supplements, really not that important. If you have trouble sleeping, you might want to consider taking magnesium at night, which is good to help you sleep. Too much magnesium will give you diarrhea because it relaxes your muscles. But if you are magnesium deficient, and a lot of you are, it can affect your blood pressure because magnesium relaxes the blood vessels and opens them up to lower the pressure. Turmeric, if you're going to take turmeric, absolutely good idea, but you want to add some black pepper to your turmeric because there's something in black pepper called pepperine, and pepperine makes turmeric about 1,000 to 2,000 times more effective. So if you're just taking pure turmeric without the black pepper, it's good, but not nearly as good. And my goal is I want to get you well for the least amount of money, and I want you to get best bang for your buck. And if you're taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, I take them first thing in the morning only because I want to make sure I remember them. That's when I take most of my supplements first thing in the morning. If I'm going to do something like a radio show, if I'm going on a date, if I'm going hiking, if I have a couple of lectures, if I'm doing interviews, I'll take a second dose of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. That's the minimum amount of nutrients you should be taking every day, the Super Greens and the Essential Source. And almost everyone should be taking them. So if you want information about the Wellness Booster, the Seasonal Tonic, the Super Greens, the Essential Source, those are all on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Or if you have an Amazon account, you can order them there. But folks, the minimum amount of nutrients, your body needs nutrients to be healthy. And in a little bit, we're going to talk about the things that you're doing every day to weaken your immune system. And chances are you're doing a ton of them. So give your body at least a fighting chance with the Super Greens, the Essential Source, the Wellness Tonic, and the Seasonal Tonic and the Wellness Booster. Those I take only in the winter because I realize that we are under a lot of stress. We don't live a healthy lifestyle. Most of us don't anyway, and we're under stress. We're inside. We're not getting exercise like we used to. We're not getting sunlight. Vitamin D is important. We'll talk about that later. 5,000 international units a day of vitamin D. All on the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a question, 844-44-DR-JOE. And again, the website is drjoeesposito.com or Amazon if you want to order products. If you have questions, you don't want to come on the air, send them to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com. We archive tons, hundreds, thousands of hours of radio shows and videos. Those are there as well. And I do live lectures. Come out to the live lectures. They're a lot of fun. Folks, got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. I appreciate you taking a little time out of your day. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well because we give you information on healthcare that really, really works. Not saying other forms of healthcare don't really, really work, but I like to do things conservatively. My goal is to try conservative first, then get a little more aggressive, then get a little more aggressive as well. And it's great because I work with a team of doctors, not in my office. We have just chiropractors in my office. But we have a team of doctors that we work with very, very closely. They're all on speed dial. And I can call them up, and like a neurosurgeon, somebody went for neurosurgery the other day, and he said, go see Joe first, see if him and his team of doctors can help you. If they can't help you, come back and we'll do the surgery. So I like working with doctors that think like that. So here's a guy that actually, basically took money out of his own pocket. He could have done surgery on her. But he said, no, let's try conservative first, and then we can go a little more aggressive. And all the doctors I work with, my general practitioners, my primary care practitioners, my women's doctors that I work with, the neurologists, orthopedists, I like the fact that we all think the same way. And if they don't, I just don't refer to them. It's really simple. And then they realize, if I'm going to get referrals from Dr. Joe and his team, I better start playing nice. And we want to get you well. And so I try to get the nervous system working, the digestive system working, and then good nutrition. Well, all together. And you have 100% control over the nutrition. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, immune issues, that might be something physical. The stomach could be pushed up against the diaphragm. We're going to talk a little bit about how chiropractic care, studies have shown it can help the immune system. People think of chiropractic care as neck pain and back pain. It's so much more than that. And most people just think, well, car accidents, sports injuries. Yeah, my team of doctors are awesome at that. But I love when people get the concept that we're trying to get you well, not just get you out of pain. I tell my patients that my first visit. My goal is not get you out of pain. My goal is get you well. Pain is just part of it. And we're going to talk about some foods, a simple food that you should be taking every single day, and I take it every day. And in new research, I was like, hey, look at that. Aside from it being a great source of B vitamins, it also helps the immune system. So I like when I do things and it turns out that I was right. And there's a lot of things in the Dr. Joe was right column. So we're talking about the immune system today. Let's cover this real quick, and then we'll go back to the calls. If you have a question, lines are lighting up today, 844-44-DR Joe. All right, spinal manipulation, chiropractic care, appears to reduce the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are white blood cells, and increase blood cell levels of immune regulatory cytokines. Cytokines are small cell signaling protein molecules that are secreted by numerous cells of the immune system and are in a category of signaling molecules which used extensively for intercellular communication. So what does that mean? What that means is it increases the good guys, and they start communicating with each other, and decreases the bad guys. Chiropractic care does. So part of that, and there's a lot of different rationale behind it, but one of the things is if you have a bone out of place pinching a nerve, it causes inflammation. So we always say it's a bone out of place pinching a nerve. In reality, it's more than that. There's swelling at the joint in the spine, and that swelling can put pressure against the nerve. It's called the nerve root, where the nerve exits the spine and becomes what's called a peripheral nerve. So swelling can cause that. If you have toxic chemicals built up in your body, a lot of acid foods, alcohols, meat, sugars, dairies, coffee, sodas, artificial sweeteners, you eat a lot of breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. These cause inflammation, and that can put pressure on the nerve, swelling, and that can cause pain. And through the adjustments, we take the pressure off the nerve, we put the bone back in place. So that's why people just love getting adjusted, because it helps with pain so much. But it also helps on so many other levels. And in this case, we're talking about the immune system. So you got to keep the immune system strong. By doing that, you keep the nervous system strong. But the nervous system controls the immune system. And if the immune system is healthy, there's less inflammation, which prevents pressure on the nervous system. They work off each other. So the nervous system, you don't want pressure, either chemical or physical pressure on the nerves. And you want the immune system strong to break down the swelling so it doesn't put swelling pressure on the nerves. So nothing is independent in the body. And that's the trend in healthcare. People come to me and say, what's the new trend in healthcare, Dr. Joe? The trend is that we work on the body as a whole, which is kind of going full circle, what we've known about for, millennium, that we have to get the nervous system working, have to get the digestive system working. If you study ancient Asian philosophy on medicine, they talk about the chi, the flow of energy through the body. And so we're kind of going full circle from where we were hundreds and maybe thousands of years ago into the modern medical world, which is not that long ago, maybe 50 years or so. And now we're going, well, if we incorporate all this old knowledge and this new medical knowledge, we can actually have a healthcare system that works. And that's what this show is all about, trying to educate you that there are options. We talked earlier about suma root. Suma root's an herb that can help stimulate white blood cell production and keep your immune system strong. Echinacea, pau d'arco, olive leaf extract, all of these are herbs that help the immune system. I put those in Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster. It's a supplement. It's on my website. And I take that one every single day to keep my immune system strong. And then if I do feel something coming on, I take Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic, which actually has antibiotic and antiviral properties. And again, I'm not saying that this should replace your meds. I'm not a medical doctor. Take what you need from your MD. But I want you to know that there are options as well. And then, of course, eating a good diet is real important. And we're going to talk about prebiotics coming up. And prebiotics are found in plants. Plants have prebiotics that feed the good bacteria that help fight your immune system. That's why I recommend Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which is made with fruits and vegetables. All right, let's start taking some calls here. Let's go to Lisa. How can we make your day better?
Hey, how are you?
I'm happy you called, Lisa.
I am actually a patient of yours, and I've always wanted to ask you, what do you think about taking honey?
Honey
is it a waste of...
No,
yeah.
It's not actually. And it's kind of funny. I was watching one of the morning news shows the other day, and, honey we've been talking about for years. And it was the medical consultant, and she said you could take the commercial cough syrups if you have a cough, but studies show that natural honey works just as well without the side effects. And I went, yes, score.
Okay.
So if you're going to do honey, it's got... Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say I put it in the honey, I put it in my oatmeal,
yeah.
And I just was curious. Okay.
Make sure it's organic and make sure it's cloudy. You want something, because if it's clear, that means it's been filtered, and it's probably not a good honey. And if it's not an organic honey, sometimes if it comes from overseas, they'll feed the bees high fructose corn syrup. Instead of having to go out to the field and get pollen and make it natural, they feed them high fructose corn syrup. So cloudy organic honey, perfectly fine. Small amounts, teaspoon to maybe a tablespoon a day. It still is a sugar, but honey's fine. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks,
Perfect.
Lisa. Appreciate it. See you soon. See you at the office.
Right.
Thanks. It's one of our patients, I guess. Doug, how can we make your day better?
I'm sorry, who did you say?
Doug, that's you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, yes, sir. I'm understanding that there's two ways, I guess the word is to synthesize B12 in I don't know how to say the whole name, but there's a methyl and a cyano.
Right, exactly.
And I'm reading why a lot of people don't like the cyano, and I'm wondering why they choose the methyl over.
Well, the cyanocobalamin has cyanide in it. It's a small amount of cyanide. Studies have shown it does seem to work. But all my supplements, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we put the methylcobalamin in there because the methyl groups, it's called a methyl group, is actually good for you. And so if you have a choice between the two B12s, I would take the methylcobalamin.
Okay, one other thing. To get NO2 in the bloodstream, what's the best supplement? I've tried AA, RK or something like that, and they said it wasn't very good, and then I switched over to another powder, and I hear beats.
Sure. Okay, well, you talk about nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. It's a vasodilator. Right. So, I'm going to have to go to a break. Can you hold on for a second, Doug?
Yes, sir.
All right, hold on. I'm going to get you right after the break, okay? Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. If you have a healthcare question, the number's 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world, and it'll bring you to something called Health Plus Wellness Center. That's my office. It's the same website. It's the exact same website, different names. And we'd love to, if you have questions, if you want to order the supplements, if you want to book an appointment, that's all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Thank you for spending time with me today. I do appreciate it. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, as the announcer just said. And what we're talking today about is your immune system and what you're doing to it, how it works. A lot of you have no idea how the immune system works. And so we're giving you an insight into what's good, what's bad, what's ugly, things you're doing to damage it. We just talked about chiropractic care, how that can stimulate some of the cytokines with the good cytokines and decrease the bad ones. And so chiropractic care can be part of a protocol to keep that immune system normal. So let's go back to the callers. I had Doug on hold. Doug, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're asking about nitric oxide, right?
Right.
Okay. Nitric oxide, NO2 is the chemical code for it. It opens up your blood vessels. It's a vasodilator. And you need vasodilation because it increases circulation to your brain, to your romantic parts. Kids listen to this show. We got to keep it clean. And so a lot of times there are prescription pills you can take, men especially, to take it for performance enhancement. But if you have good nitric oxide and good nerve supply and not clogged arteries, chances are you won't need those pills. So it's important that you get good nitric oxide. Now, beet powder, B-E-E-T, has nitrates in it, and nitrates convert into nitric oxide. Arugula, which is like a lettuce, a salad, arugula has about 10 times more nitrates than beet powder. So have an arugula salad every day, and you got to cut out the high fructose corn syrup. Because high fructose corn syrup, which is everywhere, if you take more than 20 grams of fructose a day, it creates something called uric acid in your liver. And uric acid gets into your joints, and it hurts. Now, my team of doctors, we're chiropractors at our offices, and we work very diligently to get you out of pain. So that's why every patient that comes in, I like to do a nutritional workup on, because if they are doing a lot of fructose or high fructose corn syrup, they're producing uric acid. Uric acid gets into joints, and it hurts. Also can aggravate gout. But uric acid prevents the body from producing proper amounts of nitric oxide. So if you're doing a lot of high fructose corn syrup or sugar in general, because even plain table sugar is half fructose, half glucose, 50-50, you may not be producing enough nitric oxide, which can affect circulation. So beet powder, you can do arginine supplements if you want to, but I like the beet powder. I like the arugula. I'm coming out with a supplement, actually, a supplement that's a citrulline it's going to be. And citrulline converts into nitric oxide as well. It should be out in about 5 or 6 weeks. I've just finished manufacturing. We just got to get the labels made. So that's going to be on my website in about 5 or 6 weeks. And cutting out the fructose is going to be the key. And so that's how you get the nitric oxide levels up. And that'll help lower your blood pressure, too.
All right, and one other thing. When you do that Eric von Hessler, would you just tell him to be quiet so you can talk? I was trying to listen to that honey, the part on the honey today, and I think you said 10 words.
Well,
I got so mad. But anyway, thank you for the advice, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for listening to us on other stations, on other shows, too. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do a lot of other shows, folks. In case you don't know that, I do a show with my very, very good friend, Eric von Hessler, who's a brilliant, brilliant host. And he has me on. He calls it Sparring with Dr. Joe. And we kind of go round and round about healthcare and stuff. It's a lot of fun. And he's so good at what he does. And Tim Andrews and Jared Yamamoto, what a great crew. But I have Ahmad Rashad Carter, who's my producer. So there you go. I got my man right there. Say hello, Ahmad.
Hello, everyone.
There you go. That's Ahmad. That's a great voice. And, he's better looking than he sounds. How about that? So anyway, we're talking about immune system today and how the immune system works and how we need to modulate it. And if you have a question, give us a call. 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, if you have questions, you want to send them to me through the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We send out lots of good information. It's fun because I say that on the air, and I have Facebook up here, and it just lights up with you folks following me, which is great. And a lot of times we have lectures. When I do live lectures, I'll post it there, and you'll get information is there. And if you go to my website, you can sign up for my newsletter as well. Mike, you've been more than patient. How can we make your day better?
Hi, Dr. Joe. And yeah, I've got to agree with Doug about your teaming up with Eric. I loved the episode when you had given him the magic cure for his stomach bug, and just hearing him groan and complain about taking it was very funny. But my question is, I was diagnosed with EPI, endocrine pancreatic insufficiency, about 2 years ago after having the symptoms for over a year before that.
Sure.
Because of listening to the commercials on WSB for that particular issue. I'm wondering, though, the gastroenterologist gave me that medication, and I took it religiously for almost a year, and it really did not make any difference whatsoever, and it's crazy expensive.
Yes.
So I just wondered, maybe, is there some sort of immune system tie-in? I know it's glandular, because of the pancreas, but is there some immune route that I might be able to take?
A couple of things I would suggest in addition. I'm not saying to stop taking your drugs, but if you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, many times the stomach is pushed up into your diaphragm. And we need to manually...
I have none of that. Mine is all south of where you're talking about.
There you go. So if you have that, we need to massage or adjust the stomach down away from the diaphragm. So, folks, if you do have that, we do that in my office. We do it all day, every day. About 80% of my patients, 85% I test have that. So that's important that you know it could be physical. The pancreas produces insulin, but it also produces protease, amylase, and lipase, which are your digestive enzymes, and that's why you have an insufficiency. So what I would suggest is eat more raw food. Now, when I say raw, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocado, salad, because as soon as you cook something above 110 degrees, you start to destroy the enzymes. So by eating raw food, you have food that have enzymes in them. So it's going to help digest itself, so to speak. And then Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, loaded with enzymes. So I would suggest start taking those every day. Because as we get older, our enzyme levels do drop. All of our enzymes drop. It's called aging. And so that's why another wondrous thing of Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source is they have enzymes in them. And also for you, Mike, if you have mid-back pain, that's the nerve supply, the sixth thoracic vertebrae, goes to the pancreas. And I've had patients...
And I don't, because I go to my chiropractor regularly.
Perfect. Excellent. Good. Okay, so you're fixing that end. Good boy. Man, you're a good patient, Mike. Try eating more raw foods and do the Super Greens, the Essential Source, and let's see how that works for you.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Again, based on Doug's call, gave me so many great answers. I'm a bariatric surgery patient, and because of that, I give myself B12 injections.
Sure.
But the doctor's been prescribing me the cyano, and when I heard you talk about that having cyanide in it, obviously I should see if there's an injectable methyl, right?
Absolutely, yes. Okay, got to go, but yes, absolutely. See if you can do
so
that.
much.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Folks, the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you need to order supplements, make appointments, send me questions, listen to archive radio shows, and the lines are open. If you have questions here, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. Right now, you can give us a call, and that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air, so if you don't want to talk on the air, you can always call us there. 844-44-DR-JOE. We will be right back. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I do appreciate it, and I you guys are just great. I just love my listeners because, I'll say follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. The Facebook lights up, Instagram lights up, because we do send out a lot of good information on those about lectures. Sometimes we have specials running on our supplements, and it's a good way for me to stay in touch with you. And if you want more information, you can always go to my website. We have tons of articles, archive radio shows, videos, and that's drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. And it brings you to Health Plus Wellness Center, by the way. That's my office name. Somebody mentioned that but you'll see my picture and everything. It's pretty obvious. And we're talking today about your immune system, how your immune system works, and what you need to do to keep it stable. Because sometimes we need to stimulate the immune system and sometimes we need to suppress the immune system. But we want to keep it normal. And we talked a little earlier about this, about chiropractic care and how that affects the immune system. Now, the studies demonstrate an accumulation of evidence that indicates spinal manipulation or chiropractic care may influence the immune system's response to various stimuli. 3 studies suggest that manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators associated with tissue damage and pain. 2 studies provided evidence manipulation consistently reduced the production of pro-inflammatory mediators associated with tissue damage and pain again. And then 2 more studies showed it helped with cytokines. So when people think about chiropractic care, they always think that it's about neck pain and back pain and shoulder pain. But chiropractic is not based on pain. If you go back to the founder, Dr. D.D. Palmer, September 18th, 1895, in Davenport, Iowa, the first adjustment was given. And he realized that if the nervous system, that the nerves are like guitar strings, he used the analogy, and if it's too tight or too loose, it can't carry the electrical impulse, what we call a nerve impulse. And so he found that through chiropractic adjustments, it took the tension, the tone, put it back into the nerves properly, and the body was able to heal. Somewhere along the line, we got the reputation for being really good at pain, and we are really good at pain. But there's a lot more to it than that, and that's why it's so cool. And there's the physical, that's what we just talked about. The chemical aspects is the food you eat. For example, sugar. Sugar is the number one food that'll weaken your immune system. So you got to cut out the sugars, especially in the winter. And when do we do most of our sugar eating? In the winter, because that's when the immune system is more challenged. And there's a lot of different possibilities as to why we get sick in the winter and not so much in the summer. It could be that we're indoors more. It could be that we're not getting as much outdoor activity, exercise. It could be we're not getting as much sunlight. And so one of the things that I want to make sure you're doing is if you get your blood work done, I want you to get your vitamin D levels tested. And a lot of you, in fact, studies show about 50, 60% of you are low. I think it's probably even higher than that. But if your vitamin D levels are low, vitamin D is extremely important for the immune system. I personally take 5,000 international units of vitamin D a day. Now, there's two types. There's vitamin D2 and there's vitamin D3. Many times your doctor may prescribe vitamin D2. Well, that's the synthetic version. I'm not big on synthetic anything. If I can avoid it, I would rather you do the vitamin D3. And you can get that in drugstores, health food stores. Make sure it's vitamin D3. There's three types. One comes from fish oil. Not my favorite because you do run the risk of contamination with that one. If it's going to be from fish, you want to make sure it's certified mercury-free. There's lanolin, which comes from sheep wool, which is about the same price as the fish and probably a purer form. That's the one I would recommend of the two you would take. And then it comes from algae oil as well, but algae oil can be very expensive. And so I'd recommend if you're going to be, being price conscious, I would do the sheep wool, the lanolin version of it, and do about 5,000 international units a day. That's about what you need to keep the body healthy. And unfortunately, when people get their vitamin D tested, many, many times they're low. So you got to cut out the sugar, take the vitamin D. You got to eat more raw foods. And you hear me talk about raw foods a lot. Raw foods have something called enzymes. And enzymes, they're like Pac-Man. They attack things. And the enzymes can actually attack the pathogens or the antigens, the viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus. And so the more raw food you eat, the better the immune system is going to work because you're getting this assist, so to speak, with enzymes. Now, somebody called earlier about when to take supplements. And most supplements, it's not that important when you take them. But if you take enzyme supplements, they do two things. One is if you take them with food, they help digest the food. So as we get older, a lot of people will take digestive enzyme supplements. We have them at our offices. And they'll take it with a meal to help them digest the food. If you take a digestive enzymes between meals, they then start fighting off inflammation. And they can become part of us like your pseudo-immune system. So it depends when you take an enzyme, what it does. Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, loaded with enzymes. And I take those every single day, and chances are you should too. And I was a guest on another show, and there were some people in the studio here, and they had 3 little kids with them, and they were all excited to meet the hosts and everything. And they said, I mentioned that on the air, and when we went to break, the mom said, can you give these to children? And my answer was a resounding yes. If they can start eating solid foods and they can eat fruits and vegetables, you can give them the Super Greens and the Essential Source. And what I do is you take a frozen banana and whip it up with some coconut milk or almond milk. And, I'm 190 pounds. I take a scoop of each. And for an average adult, 100 pounds is fine. But a little kid, maybe half a scoop. And mix it in with some frozen bananas, some frozen berries, make a smoothie for it. And it's amazing how well children respond when you give them the nutrients that they need. So that's going to be huge when it comes to getting the immune system working. And those supplements, along with Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster, that helps modulate the immune system, and Dr. Joe's Seasonal Tonic. And again, I can't make medical claims on this, but the herbs that we use in these things have been shown in studies to help the immune system. Those are on my website as well, drjoeesposito.com. Got to drink a lot of water. We dry out. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and the person cutting my hair, she said, oh, so many people are coming in, and their skin is just so dried out, and your skin isn't dry. She goes, what kind of moisturizer do you use? I said, I don't use any. She goes, what do you do? I said, drink a lot of water. Because you hydrate the body, and it's going to work a lot more efficiently. So something else you want to do to keep the immune system strong and just keep you healthy and young and supple is drink lots of water. And how much water? When you pee, it should be clear. You should be able to read a newspaper through your urine. Now, don't try that, okay? Because whoever you live with will think you're crazy and yell at me. But urine should be clear, and it shouldn't have an odor to it. And that means you're drinking enough water. And if you have trouble waking up because you have to pee at night, stop drinking your water around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That would help a lot. Folks, got a lot more to talk about. I'm going to talk about the number one food that you can start adding to your diet that's going to help modulate your immune system for childhood infections, for stress-induced immune suppression. I got study after study sitting in front of me here. Common colds. I'm going to talk about that. If you have a question, give me a call. The number here is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the number one Dr. Joe in the world. And we archive tons of radio shows there, too. And that number, 844-44-DR-Joe, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Appreciate you taking time out of your day. And we're talking today about your immune system and what you're doing every single day to mess with it and what you got to do to get it strong. Now, stress is another player that can have an effect on your immune system. So you might want to consider what's going on in your life. And there's 3 types of stress: chemical, physical, and emotional. And the chemical stress is the food you eat, the chemicals you expose yourself to. Hairspray, deodorants, air fresheners, new car smell. So these are all chemical stresses that can get into the body. And I've done hundreds of shows on those, so you can go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and listen to many, many topics about that. The physical stress we talked about, chiropractic care does wonders for helping stabilize the immune system and increasing the white blood cells that are good and decreasing the inflammatory ones that are bad. And the emotional is a lot easier to deal with if you handle the chemical and the physical. Because many times the emotional is out of your hands. It's out of everyone's hands. Maybe it's a death of a loved one. Maybe it's loss of a job. Maybe it's something simple like trying to get to work and you're stuck in traffic. But if you're able to handle the physical and the chemical, the emotional is kind of just falls into place. And what used to drive you insane, or sometimes even worse than that, some people get really emotionally tied up in things, now seems a lot easier to deal with. And you think, well, I've changed. Well, you have changed. You've changed the chemistry of your body and your brain. So that can help tremendously as balancing out the stress there. But I did promise you this, and I've been teasing you a long time now. Best food to prevent common childhood infections. How about that? Let's start there. And by the way, I'm going to do 3 different topics, all the same answer. 1989, a fellow named Charles Janewood gave a presentation. It was going to revolutionize the way we understand the immune system. He proposed that we must have some ancient, innate, first-line understanding that when you're exposed to something for the first time, you don't have a learned immunity. Your body doesn't recognize it and say, okay, next time I see that, it's a bad guy. It was there. So we've known about vaccines for centuries, how your bodies can learn about past infections. But he figured that's not good enough. Our body must have evolved some way to recognize foreign invaders the first time they invade. Of course, we all got invaded the first time. So he proposed that the way your immune cells discriminate between self and non-self, our own cells versus invading cells, may arise from pathogen recognition receptors. We're born with the ability to recognize patterns of microbial structure. So kind of like these guys look bad, we're going to attack them. So for example, a unique component of fungal cell walls that naturally stimulates our immune system, it's called beta-glucan. Remember that word. It becomes very important. Our own cells don't produce it, but fungal pathogens like Candida, for example, Candida is a type of yeast that can cause serious blood infections. So it's a good idea. Our own immune system recognizes it and is able to fight it off. So you can stimulate your immune system by injecting Candida into your veins, but then you might die. That's not a good choice. Luckily, there are non-disease-causing yeasts like baker's yeast, brewer's yeast, and nutritional yeast. That's my favorite. They have the same molecular signature, this beta-glucan. So your digestive tract is the largest point of contact with the outside world. There's more surface area exposed than your lungs and your skin put together. So you would think the biggest organ in your body as far as exposure to the outside world is your skin. It's not. It's your digestive system. And so not surprisingly, most of your immune cells are concentrated along the intestinal wall. That's why you hear 70-80% of your immune system is in your digestive system. But they don't stay there. Once they're tipped off something's happening, they can go off and defend other parts of the body. So the body is amazing how it communicates. So you get an infection in your finger, and the colon gets a message saying, hey, we got an infection in the finger. The white blood cells are off to fight the infection. So what we're saying is that this yeast, this beta-glucan, the immune system recognizes it and attacks it and now makes the immune system stronger. So what if you did something simple? What if you took some nutritional yeast and put it on your kids' popcorn, or you mixed it in your kids' food, put it in their Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source? Adults tend to have fewer colds than the average kid who come up with a cold about every month. But what can we really do about it? Modern medicine has little to offer, run-of-the-mill cold remedies, but if you have a kid, you know they're sick every month, and you're thinking, gosh, they're sick again? Doctors still commonly prescribe antibiotics, which sometimes are good, sometimes not. So we had to come up with an effective, safe way to keep these kids' immune systems strong. Beta-glucan seems to be one of the answers. Researchers performed a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. That's the good ones. Half a teaspoon of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucan in a child who suffered from repeated respiratory problems month after month. They found a significant increase in salivary lysosome levels compared to the control group. Lysosome is an important protective component of the eyes and nose. So what happened was when they did it, they found that it worked. Now, some studies may have contradicted that, but the good news is this. Randomized double-blind placebo-controlled studies performed to see if just a dusting of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucan a day could reduce the number of common colds. The first one was on respiratory issues. Just taking 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutritional yeast worth of beta-glucans, or about 1/16 of a teaspoon's worth, appeared to cut illness rates in half. How about that? And those on the yeast that did come down with the cold only suffered for about 3 days compared to 9 days with the placebo group. So researchers concluded that by giving kids yeast beta-glucans, it could decrease the incidence and severity of infections during cold and flu season, and thereby benefits not only the kids, but the parents as well. So here's something. It's called nutritional yeast. You can get it in your health food stores. It tastes great. I use it every day. I put it on soups. It's a very savory flavor. I put it in soups. I put it on salads. In fact, I feel like my soups and salads are naked if I don't have my nutritional yeast on there. And as little as 1/8 of a teaspoon, or 1/16 of a teaspoon in some cases, can actually help cut infections in children in half. So I recommend you go to the store, buy some. It usually has B12 in it, so it's a good source of B vitamins, and it's usually enhanced with B12, supplemented with B12. And it makes you feel good, and it's a great source of proteins. Now, it does have purine in it, so if you have gout, you've got to be careful with that because it can aggravate the gout. But the reason you have the gout probably is because you eat too much sugar. We talked about that earlier. Or you're eating too much meats. So you cut out the meats and the sugars from your diet, then you could add the nutritional yeast. Sprinkle it on popcorn. It's a savory flavor. So if you're going to mix it with something sweet, it probably isn't going to work. Now, it might. You can try it and see if you like it or not. But I love it, and I've been taking it for years for the B vitamins because as a vegan, I may not get all the B vitamins that a meat eater might get. But now this solves the problem. Ain't that cool? So it's nutritional yeast. There's also brewer's yeast, which is the kind you bake with, and there's also baker's yeast is the kind you bake with, and brewer's yeast is the kind they make beer with. But brewer's yeast is very bitter. You don't want to eat that. So nutritional yeast actually has a nice flavor to it. Try it and see. Start with a little bit, see if you like it, and then go from there. Folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about the supplement that helps stress-induced immune suppression, and then can you prevent your common cold with probiotics? And the answer is yes. And you get all those things in Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which I think everybody should be taking. And those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and just Google Dr. Joe, along with the Wellness Booster, the Seasonal Tonic. Those are all there as well. Hey, folks, give us a call here at the station with a question, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. Tell your friends about the show. We will be right back. The show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate that. This is the show where we naturally get you well and keep you well. We give you information that you can take home after every show and say, I'm going to use this right away. And today we're talking about your immune system and why so many people are getting sick and perhaps why so many people are getting sick. So let's talk about the best food to counter stress-induced immune suppression. Because stress can suppress your immune system. We talked about that a little earlier. And if you're under stress, how many people are under stress? Raise your hands. How many people are just too weak and exhausted to raise your hands because you're so stressed out? As Ahmad trying to raise his hand. You got no stress, Ahmad. You got like the best job in the world. Come on. You produce the #1 health and wellness radio show in the country.
That's true.
This show, right?
That's true.
You're good looking, right? Okay,
I guess.
I'll vouch for that.
Okay.
Okay. You're smart. Okay, I think you're very intelligent. What kind of stress could you have in your life?
Now that you mentioned it, I guess life is pretty good.
Life is pretty good. Yes. Maybe your football team didn't win this season, so maybe that's it. So, and that's my producer. And you know what? Rachel is sitting in there, and she's bored. So if you have a healthcare question, give us a call 844-44 Joe 844-44-DRJ. Oh, there it is. Didn't even finish the number, and it already lit up there. And hopefully, if you have a good question, we'll take you on the air. Oh, and they just hung up on us. 844-44 Joe. If you have a healthcare question, that number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. So some of you may have questions you don't want to go on the air with, or you think about it later. You could always call us at the office. And my website, you can send me questions through the website. I answer them personally, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, number one Dr. Joe in the world. Okay, you want to know the best food to counter stress-induced immune suppression? Guess what? It's beta-glucan. We talked about that for childhood infections, that beta-glucan helps the immune system starts attacking the beta-glucan and kind of gets the troops rallied. Well, it kind of does the same thing. Beta-glucan has undergone about 10,000 scientific studies and trials. Wait a minute. Beta-glucan is a fiber in nutritional yeast. We've talked about that before, but how can that work? Well, it works because it gets the immune system all riled up. First of all, why can't they just come up with a vaccine against the common cold? We have a vaccine for everything else, right? Why isn't there one? You ever think about that? Well, here's your answer. There's no single common cold virus. There's hundreds of different viruses implicated with cold-like symptoms. That's why there's so much interest in finding a general, nonspecific immune booster that's going to work across the board. Beta-glucan supplementation can increase levels of immunoglobulin A in the saliva within 4 days at a dose of 400 milligrams a day. The amount found in about 2 teaspoons of nutritional yeast a day. So as adults, children can take 1 teaspoon. Adults can take 2. I load it on my foods. I mean, load it on, but I use a lot of it because I like the flavor. It gives it a nice, rich, savory, almost like a cheddar cheese type flavor on your food. Start slow. Try a little bit. See if you like it. I know in my first book, it's called Eating Right for the Health of It. We have a lot of recipes in that book. And one of the recipes I have is a mushroom gravy that I just love. And one of the reasons it tastes so rich and savory, we don't use any meat. We use nutritional yeast. And it gives it that nice, rich, savory flavor that would stimulate the umami taste buds on your tongue. The umami taste buds allow you to taste savory. And when those umami taste buds are stimulated, it tastes nice and rich and savory. And the mushrooms also have beta-glucan in them. So, once again, I created this recipe years and years ago, way before this research was done. So, a mushroom gravy from my book, a lot of good information in that book aside from just recipes, would actually be something I would now consider taking to keep my immune system strong. If you don't have my second book that came out not long ago, Prescription for Extreme Health, you need to get that one too, because that's really a guide, and it's very well written. I have to say, it took us a long time to write it, a lot of edits, but really easy to read, a lot of fun, and you'll walk every page going to go, wow, that's amazing, that's amazing. And those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. So let's keep talking about the beta-glucan here. First of all, we talked about why you couldn't come up with a vaccine, and the beta-glucan seems to solve that problem. Now, again, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm saying this is what the research is saying. What you do with this information is up to you. Those who did end up getting sick on the beta-glucan did generally appear to suffer milder symptoms. Healthy women under moderate levels of perceived psychological stress, those taking about a teaspoon of nutritional yeast a day, for 12 weeks were 60% less likely to report experiencing symptoms like sore throat, stuffy nose, or cold, strongly suggesting that Baker's Brewers and nutritional yeast beta-glucan is able to counteract the negative effects of stress on the immune system. There's no reason why you shouldn't be taking this stuff. It's relatively inexpensive. It tastes great. And even if all these studies are wrong, you found some new food that you can put on your salads, put in your soups that tastes great. Now, if you put all the studies together, yeast beta-glucans do appear to have immune-strengthening effects, at least in children, and those under physical and mental stress. And also, we'll talk in a second after I take some calls about how the studies were done on colds and how well it worked there, too. All right, let's go to the callers. Peter, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe, I have a question. I'm 41. I've had pretty consistent IBS my entire life, and I've been reading a lot about a term I've not heard before called intermittent fasting, if I'm
Yes.
saying it right, where you kind of eat for 8 hours and you fast for 18. I'm on day 3 of it. It's going better than I thought, and I just wanted your opinion.
Absolutely wonderful. Number 1 consumer of energy we have as humans is romance, keeping it clean for the kids. Number 2 consumer is digestion. And so when you take the stress off your digestive system, especially if you have a digestive issue like irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, and the body finally gets a chance to heal. Also a great way to help lose weight. Also a great way to build muscle mass. Also a great way to get the brain working better. So you eat, like you said, you pick 8 hours a day, and that's the ultimate intermittent fasting. And whenever you eat something, it takes about 8 hours to digest it. After 8 hours, your body starts burning fat. So if you eat every 8 hours, like most people do, you never get to that fat burning mode. What you're doing is you're getting into that fat burning mode for a whole 8 hours. Actually, because you burn for 8 hours after your meal, you have a whole 8 hours of the body resting and healing. So intermittent fasting, Peter, absolutely positively gives 2 thumbs up on the Dr. Joe scale.
Awesome. Thank you. Can I ask a very quick follow-up?
Sure, go ahead.
Krill, as far as a supplement with omega-3s and other good things, your opinion there?
Absolutely. There's 3 good sources of omega-3 fatty acids: fish oil, krill oil, and algae oil. Fish oil, not a big fan, kills a lot of fish, and you run the risk of it being contaminated. So if you do take fish oil, you have to make sure it's certified mercury-free. Krill oil is in what's called a phospholipid form. It's easy to digest. It's in the form that we need to utilize. So krill oil, excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. I don't eat animal products. I'm a vegan, so I do algae oil. It's more expensive, but it meets my lifestyle. But krill oil, 2 thumbs up on the Dr. Joe scale as well.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate the call. And we even put the algae oil in Dr. Joe's essential source as well, the super greens, I'm sorry. So the essential source has fruits and vegetables, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, which are great for helping keep the immune system strong. And then we add the krill oil, the algae oil to the super greens, which alkalizes the system and loads you up with minerals. So I've said it 1,000 times. I think everybody should be taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, minimum amount of supplements you take a day. Then I'd add the omega-3s, the vitamin Ds, and some other things. We do a nutritional protocol for everyone that comes in our office. And if you're not able to come in the office, we can always do that over the phone or over Skype. Folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. My website, if you want to order the supplements or get my books or ask me questions, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Supplements also available on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Thanks for being here. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day. We're talking today about your immune system and what you got to do to keep it strong and healthy. And want to talk about preventing common colds with probiotics. This was a really interesting thing. I hadn't talked about this on the air in a long time. Then I saw this study, and I wanted to bring it up. Babies that are born cesarean section appear to have an increased risk for various allergic diseases. The thought is that vaginal deliveries leads to the first colonization of the gut with maternal vaginal bacteria. So when you pass through the gut, when you pass through the vagina, you're actually picking up good bacteria, the babies are. Also what happens is the baby is squeezed through the birth canal, and it can squeeze fluids and junk that's in the lungs out of the body. So that's kind of important too, kind of like a tube of toothpaste. C-section babies deprived of this natural exposure, they exhibit a different gut flora. So they actually have different bacteria in their colon if they're born C-section. Now they've done randomized double-blind studies showing that those taking probiotics may have significantly fewer colds, fewer sick days, and fewer symptoms. Probiotics are good bacteria. Those are the good bacteria in your body, and they fight. Again, the longest part of the biggest part of your body that's exposed to the outside world is your colon. Your skin and your lungs are too, but your colon is bigger than the skin and the lungs combined as far as surface area. And so good bacteria live there and do their job. And if you take probiotics, which are the good bacteria, you can help colonize your colon. Better than that, I've talked about this for years, in my opinion, is prebiotics. Prebiotics feed the good bacteria. You can't use prebiotics as a nutritional source, but they feed the bacteria, which then help you. So prebiotics are found where? Well, things like fruits and vegetables. Oh, the things we've been talking about forever. That's why when I make Dr. Joe's Essential Source, we add fruits and vegetables, powdered fruits and vegetables, about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables per scoop, per serving. Then we add prebiotics and probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin. So the essential source, and I take it with a scoop of Dr. Joe's Super Greens as well, because that gives me the minerals that I need and the omega-3 fatty acids. And those two, I love them. And once people start taking them, they go on automatic reorder, and they just keep it coming because they're just so excited to finally have something that gives them energy and keeps them healthy. Relatively inexpensive. It's about $2 a day for a scoop of each. Total, $1 each about. So that's really a very good deal for what you're getting. In fact, I couldn't imagine a better deal in the world when it comes to health than the Super Greens and the Essential Source. And they're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. And the prebiotics and the probiotics help the immune system. Now, unless you've suffered a major disruption of your gut bacteria by antibiotics, maybe you took a round of antibiotics or multiple rounds, maybe an intestinal infection, you had a lot of diarrhea, bloating, I would suggest focusing on feeding the good bacteria we already have with the prebiotics. So after all, we saw before, as we talked about before, no one knows what you're getting when you buy prebiotics or probiotics. You have to make sure you're getting it from a good source. A lot of people will go to a big box store, discount store, and say, oh my God, look at this, probiotics. And they take them, and they're bacteria. They have to be alive. And if you take them and they're dead, they're really not doing you any good. They have to survive the journey through your stomach, and we had a caller earlier who asked about that. You take them first thing in the morning before you eat food, because once your stomach acids start to go up, it can kill off the bacteria, including the good ones. So they got to make their way into the small intestine and then the large intestine as well. So it's really important that you take them at the right time. Now, if you take them with food, some are going to make it. It's not the end of the world, but the best time to take it is on an empty stomach. So you want to take advantages of the prebiotics. They're found in plants. They outweigh the probiotics in plants. But if you're eating raw fruits and vegetables, you're probably getting both. Because fruits and vegetables, especially organic ones that aren't sprayed with chemicals that kill the bacteria, are covered with millions of lactic acid bacteria, some of which are the same type used in probiotics. So when studies show eating more fruits and vegetables boost your immunity, the prebiotics and the probiotics actually play a role. And that's why we put the raw fruits and vegetables in Dr. Joe's Essential Source and Super Greens. So there's every time I see new research, I think, okay, here's another reason why we should be eating more raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. And the research just comes in truckloads. But as long as you're doing the fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, your body is getting what it needs. You don't have to know the names of the bacteria. You don't have to know the names of the prebiotics. But your body does, and that's the key. So you got to keep the immune system strong. Stop the sugar, stop the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, especially in the wintertime. Make sure you're getting your vitamin D, 5,000 international units. The omega-3 fatty acids, I take a gram extra above and beyond what's in the Super Greens because I like my brain working the best it can, and it works as an anti-inflammatory. And then a lot of people need adrenal supplements. The adrenal glands control the immune system as well, help control the immune system, because they produce prostaglandins, which moderate inflammation. So if you have bags under your eyes, if you're tired all the time, if you drink a lot of coffee and you're using a lot of stimulants, the chances are you burned out your adrenal glands. So good supplements might be eleuthero, ashwagandha. I know these are fancy words you may never heard before, but they help the immune system. Chiropractic care, we talked about, helps the immune system. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, you have pinched nerves which cause inflammation. So why not get it fixed? That's what I ask people all the time. Why are you suffering needlessly? And so many times patients come in, and I don't want you to be one of these patients, who say, you know, Dr. Joe, I've been meaning to come see you for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I've been listening to your shows, and I've read your articles, I've read your books, and you're the man, you're the guru, man. So why did you wait so long to come see us? And the answer always is, I don't know. So don't be like that person who sits on the couch and waits and then finally gets so bad they call it an emergency call. Do it now. Get yourself well, and not just for you, for kids as well. Because if kids have a healthy spine, they grow healthy. If they have a crooked, damaged spine, they grow crooked. So it's good for kids. It's good for adults. I've adjusted people well over 100 years old. I've adjusted them 10 minutes out of the womb. So if we get the spine straight, we get the digestive system working, we get the supplements, at least Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I take Wellness Booster. There are herbs in Dr. Joe's Wellness Booster that have been shown to help modulate the immune system. If I do feel sick, I take Dr. Joe's seasonal tonic, which is ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic, because those actually can fight the infection. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice as drugs. I'm telling you what herbs have been shown to help. So normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. Folks, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, because we send out lots of good information there. Sometimes we have specials on our supplements. We tell you when we're doing live lectures. We tell you when we do have shows. I was a guest on a show yesterday. I'm a guest, a regular on a lot of other shows. So you can hear me on other shows with other folks, which is kind of fun. But we want to be your doctors. We want to help get you well and keep you well. So if you have questions, go to the website, drjoeesposito.com. You can order supplements and books there. Also on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.